Yeah. Yeah, you know what it is. 140 for the rapper, busy man, shit, nigga. They turn their head over, nigga. I read what Eve did to Adam, I just pray my love don't lie to me. Swing the iron like Samson, I can't let no holder lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, all they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Niggas think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying, this shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Suckle up and stay alert. Another cop can stretch the nigga. He ain't demon, this an exorcism. Watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gonna get active with you. From the opposition, I see vision. Let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spit and I ain't listening. Is in fact the fear. If revenge was a woman, now I scope that bitch like Jacob. So Tower War, we gon' run the summer. It's gonna be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't be do that. Bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young pay. How you real trigger on them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? When he saying something, I ain't hear. This shit life. It ain't on who got the gun, it's on who gon' up that fight first. I turn a bad situation to a game change. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chain. Free shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand and feet, so you don't never get that hand back. He bitch about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, I with that hollow son, yeah, this the rim accord. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still up on my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get it, boy, lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
Yahweh Shem Yah Shabrak. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yah Shabrak to all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Shemar Thah Shem Yah Shah to all the sisters. We're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street out of Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. If you are not in the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana, you are not in the truth. You understand? Tonight, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat. We're taking all questions. If I don't have the answers for you, we're gonna get the answers for you. You know, when we get people in the chat, just shout them out when they come in.
We got Sister Ribka. We got Brother Young Man Dennis. Officer Shar.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, Shar. Mighty priest right there.
Coca-Cola.
This shit is pretty cold right here. It's wild. The water though.
We got Sister Naima checking in. Sister Rawat.
Shalom, sisters. And whenever someone has a question, it's gonna take priority over everything else. So, whenever somebody has a question, just cut in and say, Salakia, you got a question, and then just go ahead and read the question and post it on the screen. All right. Here's what I want you to do, all right? I want you to go to I want you to go to
We got Officer in there checking in a little bit.
all right, Most High in Christ. I want you to go to Revelation chapter 18. We're gonna start at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 18, verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
You understand? So there's coming a day where Babylon, first of all, what is Babylon? You understand? Go ahead.
It's like America.
That's a given. You don't even have to be in the truth to know Babylon is America. You understand? Now, why is it called Babylon?
Like, I don't think I know that.
Okay. All right. So anybody in the class want to answer the question for me? Why is in this scripture, why is America called Babylon?
So, like, I will say, I believe Babylon, it was a place in the Bible, right? Like a real place.
Right.
So I want to say it's compared to that place, which I'm sure was a very simple and wicked place. That's all I got.
All right, so why is it called Babylon? Or how do we know that America is Babylon?
The sister Simon says, like it, sir, confusion.
Not quite. Who said that?
Sister Naima.
Sister Naima. Not. There is confusion, but not quite. The answer I'm looking for is a precept. It's a precept to how we know America is. Instead of saying why is it called, the correct way to ask, correct question is how do we know America is Babylon in the book of Revelations?
Oh, so like also now he said because of paganism.
I'm looking for a precept. A precept. Anybody know? Anybody want to give me that precept on how we know America is Babylon in this scripture? Because a lot of people think it's a lot of people are saying, a lot of Christians are saying Babylon is in the Middle East. They're saying it's Iraq. You understand? Or Iran. You understand? That's what a lot of Christians believe that. You understand? But in this scripture, how do we know that this scripture is talking about America? Like, how do we know for a fact? I'll give you a hint. What nation rules over America?
It's like Esau.
Esau, right? All right. So if Esau rules over America, Babylon was not Edomites. You understand? So why is America called Babylon?
Because it's the habitation of devils.
Okay. All right. That's a good guess. All right. So I'm going to help you out. All right. I want you to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 137. Psalm chapter 137 and start at verse 7.
Book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom.
Who?
The children of Edom.
So the Lord is saying, this is David. David wrote the Psalms. David is saying, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. You understand? Who's the children of Edom? The so-called white man. Right? So David, way back then, is saying, remember the children of Edom. Read on.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
So raise it means to destroy it. Edom cried for the destruction of Israel. You understand? Listen, a lot of people like to think that white people don't deserve judgment. You understand? They question, should white people be judged? Why should white people be judged for their crimes? You understand? Because since the beginning of the existence of Esau, he has sought for the destruction of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? Read on.
Even to the foundation thereof.
Go ahead.
O daughter of Babylon.
Oh, what?
O daughter of Babylon.
Oh, what?
O daughter of Babylon.
So the Bible, David, in prophetic fashion, is referring to Edom as the daughter of Babylon. You understand? He's making a comparison. He's comparing Edom to Babylon. So when you read in the book of Revelations, you understand these are prophecies because David prophetically called them the daughter of Babylon. You understand? Because in that day, Babylon or America was going to be doing the same things that we were doing in Babylon. You understand? About the same worship, same religions, the same gods. You understand? The same customs, same cultures. You understand? The same spirit that was in Babylon or Babel, Salaki, carried on all the way down to Esau. Esau carries on that same spirit. In fact, Edom's kingdom is worse than Babylon. You understand? Read on.
Salakia, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed.
Who what?
Who art to be destroyed.
So there's another clue on how you know it's talking about America. Because in the book of Revelations, Babylon is being destroyed. You understand?
Okay.
And right here, he's saying that, O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed. Now, how can you sit here and say God loves everybody when right here in the Bible, you know what I mean, Babylon is being prophesied to be destroyed? You understand? Read on.
Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Read that again.
Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Now listen, it says, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. You understand? Like I find it hilarious when Iran's putting out all these AI videos, and you know they're sending out pictures. You seen they've been putting like famous black people's pictures on bombs and shooting these bombs at American ships and shooting them into Israel. You understand? And they do that stuff. You know, they're coming up against Esau and they're convicted in their fight, meaning that they feel like what they're doing is right. You understand? They're doing this expediently and happily. You understand? Read on. Oh, matter of fact, read that part again. It says, happy shall he be.
Oh, so happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Go ahead.
Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone.
Now listen, this right here is real life right here, right now. Because when you look at that war between Israel and Palestine, you know, when that war started reaching its peak, there were children on both sides getting unalive. There was Israeli children getting unalive, and there was Palestinian children getting unalive. And guess where they was at? They was lying under that rubble, dashed against the stones. You understand? And here's the thing. They want blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans to cry about what's happening over there, right? But who cried during a trail of tears when they would take young children from the hands of their parents and they would smash them against the rocks? They would smash them against the rocks so hard that their heads would bust open. You understand? Right? Can you imagine seeing that happen to your child? You understand? And then you try to fight back, and then you end up just getting gunned down in front of your wife and then left to rot. You understand? That was reality for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And you know what? Nobody shed a tear. You understand? Nobody shed a tear during the Trail of Tears. I didn't see a Palestinian cry for what happened to Native Americans. Where was the Palestinians then? Where was the Ukrainians? You understand? Where was their sympathy? You understand? When Emmett Till got unalive. You understand? Matter of fact, where was the Iranians? Since they wanted to put black faces on their bombs, you know what I'm saying? Where was they at during the crack epidemic? You understand? when they was throwing black people in prison by the millions. Where was they then? You understand? They only care when it's happening to them. You understand? They don't care. Nobody cares when it's happening to us except the Most High. You understand why it's important for us to return to the Most High, turn back to the Lord. You understand? To come into the ISUPK, learn how to change your life, join with your brothers in this fight to build this kingdom. Because it is a fight, it's a battle. You understand? It's a war that we fight, not a physical war, but we fight a spiritual war in the ISUPK, a war with our flesh, a war against spirits. You understand? When I say a war against spirits, meaning it's a war just to keep weakness from entering into the brotherhood. You understand? All of it is warfare. Everything is warfare. Everything is about warfare. The Lord, the God we serve, is a God of war. You understand? Go back into YouTube. Huh?
I was saying something.
Mute the mic real quick. Give us 1 second. We'll be right back.
It's like you said, reread what?
Go back to Revelations. We don't have any questions still?
We do got a comment on Sister Breebies. She said, I can't imagine, to be honest, talking about the to the dashing of the Native Indians' children.
Yeah, that was a reality. You know what I mean? I'll take it a step further. You know, this is why, you know, black people, especially black people who speak against our Hispanic brothers, because our Hispanic brothers and sisters, you know, there was a time when the Spaniards went down into South America and they were forcing our brothers and sisters to become Catholic. And one of the things they used to do, because you know how we'll get to it, but one of the things they used to do to people who wouldn't convert to Catholicism is they would take them, they had these big wooden crosses. And you know how you see the old movies when they would burn witches? So what they would do is they would take the cross and they would take the person and tie them to the cross. You know, this famously happened to Montezuma, who was a king in South America, or emperor. And they would tie him to the cross, and then they would pile a bunch of hay up around him. And they would give him one last chance to worship Jesus Christ, as they bow down to this white image of Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And if they refuse, they would set them on fire, burn them alive in front of their whole tribe. You understand? That's a horrible thing to see. You understand? To see someone set on fire. You understand? Because here's the thing. They say that being set on fire is, or if not the most painful, or one of the most painful ways to die, is to be set on fire. If you've ever heard or seen a video of anyone get set on fire, they scream a scream that would make you sick to your stomach. You understand? And they would not die from the burns. They would die from the pain, from just the sheer pain. They would go into shock. You understand? So that was happening to our people. Another thing that they were doing to our Hispanic brothers and sisters, specifically the women, is they would take the women and they would tie their hands together like this, and they would tie their hands to like a pole. You ever seen those clothing racks? It's like a long pole, and it's up on like a base that has like wheels on the bottom. You never seen one of those rolling clothing racks? It's like a rod going across, pause, and then it's like on a stand, and then at the bottom. Matter of fact, we got the garments hanging on that thing. We got the garments on. So imagine that, but 7 feet high, right? And maybe 30, 40 feet long. They would hang sisters by their hands, pregnant sisters, 6 month, 8 month, 9 month. And what they would do is they would take a knife, they would cut the bottom of their stomach so that their baby and their placenta just all fall out. You understand? Then take the babies and smash the babies. You understand? And then leave the woman hanging there with her midsection cut up just to bleed to death. You understand? These are real things that our people went through, that we witnessed. And these traumas, these things cause trauma. When you see something like that, that causes trauma to the brain. You understand? Especially if you're a child seeing that happen to your mother, and you seeing your brother get cut out of your mother's stomach, that is trauma. That traumatizes the human mind. And they just recently discovered that trauma alters a person's genetic code. And then that trauma becomes a part of your DNA that when you go to have a child, that DNA passes from you to that child. So that child would share the same trauma that you shared. It used to be a myth or something that it used to be something like we would call a generational curse. You know, in the Black community, we refer to it as a generational curse, where science just confirmed that this is generational trauma. So a lot of the things that's wrong with our people mentally, we don't understand that a lot of that is because of what our forefathers went through 500 years ago. And it didn't end 500 years ago. It wasn't just one event that happened 500 years ago. This happened for hundreds of years. It's a recent thing in the earth for Black people to not be hung from trees. We still hung from trees in 2026. You understand? There are things happening in this earth right now to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that will never be on the news. You know, there's thousands of Native American girls that go missing every day. They go missing every day. And now you have ICE, this ICE organization. You understand? There's people who are citizens who aren't even Hispanic, who aren't even foreign citizens, that are just going missing. They're getting arrested by ICE and nobody hears from them again. You understand? So there's a terrible thing going on in the earth today. You understand? And we're so caught up with Cardi B and not Cardi B, but what's her name? Meg Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson. You understand? Listen, man. You understand? Who gives a damn about Meg Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson? You understand? But here's the thing. You know what I mean? What happened with Meg Thee Stallion and with Klay Thompson, guess what? She's a whore. You understand? Because of generational trauma. You understand? And I can't confirm it, but any woman who is that comfortable presenting herself in such a hypersexual way, to me, is a sign of trauma. You understand? It's because here's the thing. It's like when a young girl is assaulted in a predatory manner, she becomes sexualized at a young age. And at that young age, they're still trying to figure out how to be accepted by their peers or how to be accepted by the world. You understand? And so by doing that to that child, it teaches that child that to be accepted, it has to be something sexual. So then as they grow older, their way of feeling accepted is by being promiscuous or dressing provocative. You understand? If that's the route that they go down, because there's different paths, there's different things that can happen to a child who goes through that type of trauma and doesn't get justice for it. You understand? Like even the thing that happened with Tory Lanez. You understand? Like I have my own opinions about it, but I'm gonna keep my personal opinions personal. Yeah, the shooting with Tory Lanez. Now, I'm not going to go into the details on what details I believe happened and what didn't happen, but that whole situation to me screamed trauma. There's some trauma involved because of everything that led up to that event and everything that came out of that event. You understand? And so the thing is I'm convinced that something happened to Meg Thee Stallion when she was a very young girl and she never got justice for it. And she lost whatever power that she thought she had over her body and her mind. And a lot of what she does is an attempt to try to gain that power back that was taken from her. You understand? And so the thing is that that trauma, I believe, happened to her, but whoever committed that trauma, who committed that act that traumatized her, a deeper situation is that that person would not have done that had they not been traumatized. And the person who traumatized them would not have done that had they not been traumatized. So there's a long string of trauma. And that's just one form of trauma that passes down from generation. You understand? And that's a demon. Those are demons that become on our people. And one thing our oppressor did is he came and he filled our people with demons. Go ahead.
I just want to add to your point with what you said about trauma being passed on from like a mother having birth and it be passed on through the DNA. That's actually double trauma right there. Because you were already born with a type of trauma that you're not even looking for necessarily or aware of.
Right.
And then you're traumatized physically. So
right.
Like you kind of don't know how to deal with it. So like,
right. Another form of trauma is this. This is a simple thing, and I've explained this to many mothers who have children, because a lot of times they don't either think about this or consider it or even care. But when your child is growing up, they think everything is normal in their life because this is all they know. This is normal. The only thing they know is when I come home, there's mommy. But when I go home, there's mommy. You know what I mean? There's no daddy. I don't know a daddy. Daddy, never heard of a daddy. And then that child goes to daycare, kindergarten, and they're meeting other kids. And other kids, they're talking about each other's lives. They're getting to know each other. And then that child finds out, well, wait a minute. This child, my friend Tommy has mommy and daddy. Sometimes mommy pick him up. Sometimes daddy pick him up. And he hears about all the fun things him and daddy does after daddy picks him up from school that me and mommy don't do. So now he's trying to mentally wrap his brain around, I go home and it's just mommy. But when Tommy go home, there's mommy and daddy. And because he doesn't understand what's happening, he just knows that something is wrong in his life. And now he is traumatized. You understand? That is trauma.
Like I went through the same thing. I was raised by my grandmother at that, so things was already different because she was older, so
right.
She didn't even understand the younger generation, like what we wanted, what we like to do or whatever. And then we was broke on top of that, so it was just a hard adjustment. I would go over to my friend's house. I would be so envious because they had their mom and their dad. They let them do whatever they wanted to do. They had the latest game. We broke. It's a lot of stuff I figured out just like by observing. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, we different. That's why we different. You know what I'm saying? This and that.
Right.
I can understand.
So these things affect the minds of the child and the development of that child. You understand? So now there's a lot of things that can come out of that. Maybe the child is inquisitive and asks, well, mommy, where's my daddy? Do I have a daddy? You understand? And what's the first thing a lot of parents do when a child is asking them tough questions?
Either get mad at them or lie.
Get mad or lie. Which does what?
Nothing good. It's probably traumatized me.
Causes more trauma. You understand? And then that's just the beginning. Then you got years of added trauma. You understand? And then you wonder why your son's 18 and catching bodies and popping pills and dropped out of school. You understand? Been shot 3 times. Got 4 friends that's been unalived. Going right down the same pathway to be unalived. And then you're burying them at 19. You understand? What's happening to these young brothers out here in the street stems from what happened to our forefathers 400 years ago. And you can't say get over it. You can't say that. You can't say that was the past, forget about the past. Because even America, even though America says that, America even understands that they need justice, that their people need justice. Because if they don't get justice, they'll never heal from their trauma, such as 9/11. When 9/11 happened, them hijackers traumatized an entire generation in America. You understand? I remember seeing it on TV as it was happening. A lot of people unalived themselves that day because they thought it was the end of the world. That's a detail a lot of people forget about. People unalive themselves You understand? And not only that, but what happened in 9/11 was a terrible thing. To sit and watch that live on the news, you watch it on the news, and then the news announcer sitting there, oh, da, 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 yeah, we saw the plane, and da da da. Oh my God, there's another person that just jumped out the building. And then the camera zooms up and they following this person falling from the 150th floor. That was the wildest. Listen, that was seeing that live. I hate to laugh, but seeing that live was the absolute wildest thing I ever seen in my life. You understand? Like seeing that. I mean, you listen. It wasn't just a handful of people jumping out of the building. Like it was like, whoop, whoop. One person jump out that way. One person jump out that way. Another person jump out this way. Another person jump out that way. People because you got to understand, like people in this building were in such intense fear that they literally felt like their chances of surviving were better by jumping out of the 130th floor. Can you imagine being that afraid? They were hysterical. You know what it means to be hysterical? Look up the definition of hysterical. You understand? Those people were hysterical.
The definition of hysterical describes an uncontrolled, extreme emotional state such as panic, fear, laughter, or informally something that is incredibly funny. So in this case, it would be panic.
Right. They were hysterical. You understand? They were in such intense fear that they jumped out the window. You understand? And seeing that on TV, which America is supposed to be the biggest, baddest, low down. What should not show enough used to say? Who's the baddest, low down? You understand? So I can't even remember the line from not Into the Dragon, The Last Dragon. You understand? America was showing up. You understand? And that day they got hit by Bruce Leroy. You understand? Bruce Leroy had that glow and brought down the World Trade Center. You understand? And traumatized an entire generation. Because and listen, and this is one thing I never forgot. I never forgot this. But I grew up in South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And in South Carolina, there's integration. You see black people, black kids going to school, white kids, and you see that in school. But the living situation is very segregated. Even so much as the nightlife. They don't want the nightlife integrated. You understand? And a lot of, how can I put this? They typically try to push Black and Hispanic nightlife out to these outskirts and let downtown be for Esau. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Israel still be sliding downtown. They took away Latino night from downtown. You understand? But nevertheless, there's very much still a lot of segregation, in certain aspects of living in the South. But in school, I'll never forget that when it happened, all the black folks, we all kind of had the same reaction. We was kind of like, "What is crazy? What you see that? What is crazy as what, boy? Boy, we living in the last days." We was talking like that then, like, "Boy, we living in the last days." You know, people start talking about Nostradamus and all type of stuff. But white folks were in an intense fear. People, they was having panic attacks. Parents was coming picking them up from school. I ain't get picked up from school. I had to stay in school the whole day on 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, man. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't get picked up early, but kids, they was getting picked up early from school. You understand? By the time the end of the day, it was like only black folks at school. We was the only ones that we had to ride the bus. You know what I'm saying? The buses ain't coming until the end of the day. You know, we get off early. Somebody got to pick us up. You know what I'm saying? But them Edomites, man, they was, go ahead.
I just want to say this. I kind of got two things. The first part, it's kind of crazy that you say that they was like so hysterical like that, because you would think a nation who pretty much built themselves up on murder and raping and all these other things, like you would think they would have a little bit tougher skin. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to things like that,
you would think that, but here's another way I want you to think about it. Right? Have you ever driven with a suspended license? So when you're behind the wheel, you're a criminal in the act of committing a crime, right? So when the police pull up behind you, they just change the lanes. As soon as they change lanes and they right there behind you, how do you feel?
definitely
you hysterical.
Get back in other lane.
Yeah, you start
get back in my lane.
You start trying to figure out, how do I get this person from looking at me? You understand? And next thing you know, you do something and you get pulled over. But think about that, right? A criminal is always cool breeze when they think they're getting away with it. You understand? But the second they think they might get got for what they've been doing, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Think about how when you see people going to prison, they get sentenced to life in prison after they went on a killing spree. They get to crying in court. You understand?
That's a heavy point.
That's the thought process.
So they damn there. It's like they almost felt like it was karma, like
Right.
something like that. Like, man, this.
Right. So now that's why for their leaders, they have to go so hard to get that retribution. Because for them, the trauma is worse. Because they think they're indestructible. They think they're Tony Stark in the Avengers. You understand? Yeah, they think they're Will Smith in Independence Day. And it's the crazy part about the movie Independence Day, right? You know, just a sidebar. Independence Day, Will Smith is the main character, right? He's not even the hero in the movie.
I never thought about it. It was the Edomite, right?
It was the Edomite. The Edomite was the hero.
He saved them.
And listen, and here's the crazy part. He flew the Edomite to, you know what I mean? He was a good old boy. Like, ride that horse up there for me, boy. He was the carriage driver. Yeah, he was driving Miss Daisy. That's what he was, and then he wasn't the main character. He wasn't even the one who figured out how to defeat the aliens. So even in their propaganda, paid Will Smith all this money to be in the movie, just for him not to be the hero. They make you think he's the hero, but in reality, it was the drunk white man that figured out how to destroy the aliens. Then there was the one whose wife left him, the nerd guy, who ended up defeating the aliens. Will Smith was the taxi driver.
I never thought about it like that.
You understand? So even in their propaganda, they the hero. They the superhero. They the Iron Mans, the Tony Starks. You know what I'm saying? Now that I think about it, even in the first Avengers movie, like you had what? Captain America, Incredible Hulk, Thor. Come on. You had Iron Man, Captain America, Incredible Hulk, Thor, the Arrow guy, and the Black Widow, right? What's that? 7 Edomites? 7 Edomites defeated an army of aliens with superior technology. They popped out a hole in the sky. You understand? With magic wands and stuff. You understand? With the rest of the army still coming. These 5 Edomites wiped out an entire army of aliens. You understand? The white man's the devil the Bible speak of, man. He the hero in every movie, the savior. He's even Jesus. You understand? He even white Jesus. He even saved you from your sins. You understand? The white man even he when you go to heaven, you see the white man. He like, hey, look what I did for you. You understand? When you Christians die and go to heaven, the first thing you see is your master. You go right back to master house. You understand? White man's the devil the Bible speak of. Go ahead.
Like that's another traumatizing thing. Like for a slave to hear you a slave, and you listen to your master and you see everything that's going on to your people, and they tell you, if you a good old boy, when you die, you get to heaven, you get to work for master all over.
Right, all over again. You understand?
You die, you don't want to.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, okay, if master telling you all this, but then you see master molesting slaves and, you know what I mean, having kids with 13-year-old slaves, you know, and unaliving brothers left and right, you know, what you preaching to them? You understand? Because the white man, he don't believe in no God. He don't believe in no God. Only thing he believes in is his own greed. You understand? Let's go back to Revelations. Go ahead. You had a question?
I did. Oh yeah, I did have one more thing.
Go ahead.
It was his brother.
Mm-hmm.
He was an old head. I forget how old he was. Maybe like 60 something.
Mm-hmm.
We was working at Yang Fang. He told me that during 9/11, he went outside and he would go to all the dead bodies and go in their pockets and steal their wallet. And it was crazy.
He was an Edomite?
He was a Judite, but that right there, like just hearing this tonight, I believe he was either traumatized or just so used to death that he told me, he didn't have to, you know what I'm saying? He asked about it.
Did he work at the funeral home or something?
Nah, I know he was from New York. That's all I knew. That's all.
Hey, that brother was like, he don't need it.
Yeah.
He don't need it where he going.
That brother was definitely desensitized. Like he done seen some stuff before.
Hey, that brother like, shit, better him than me. That's a lot. You got any questions in the chat?
Sir, but we do got I believe Sister Bana checking in. We got Marcus Jarrell checking in. LB1 Westlands checking in. Sister Izra, Sister Cheyenne checking in. Tweet.
Okay. That's the person who was asking the questions last week. Wasn't he asking a question about Ezekiel chapter 8 or something? That wasn't him?
That was another brother.
All right. That's what.
We was at Revelation 18 and 8, right? You want me to read that? Or
yeah. What were we at?
Was it 16 and 8?
It was Revelation 18.
18 and 1 is not.
Yeah, you can. No, we were on verse 2.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying,
Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils.
Now, I already showed you earlier that Babylon is what Edom was referred to as. It's the daughter of Babylon. Go ahead. So we're talking about America. We're talking about the nation that Edom rules over in the last days. Read on.
And the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Read that again.
For all nations.
For who?
For all nations.
For some nations.
For all nations.
It says for all nations. Read on.
Have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
So it says for all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication. You understand? Think about that. You understand? It says for all nations. All nations have played a part in what America has done on this earth to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All nations. Scriptures say that the nations, that all the nations are confederate against thee. You understand? So the thing is that all nations, so we can't sit here and say, oh, well, you know, the Philippines ain't that bad, or the Chinese man ain't all that, no, we can't cheer for the Iranians, you understand, because they dropped, because I've seen some brothers on the internet saying that the Iranians is getting get back for what America did to us, but Iranians played a part in it. They played a part in, it says for all nations drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Read on.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Read that again.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
And all the kings of the earth, all the kingdoms and presidents and all of them have played a part in your oppression, in your destruction. How do you know that for a fact? You can just drive around the corner. Gas station right up here in the Hispanic neighborhood. Drive around the corner of that gas station, Elon in there. Go to the hood, right around the corner at the hood store, Elon in there. You know what? Listen, man, I witnessed something that blew my mind. You understand? You know, I grew up in the crack era. You understand? I grew up in the 80s, 90s, right? And, you know, I grew up, you know, I've assisted in the distribution of certain products and saw some things where, you know, back in the day, you know, a crack pipe was, it was almost like it, I think it was like it was handmade. They made the crack pipes. Like they would take these vials and they would take a hot wire and cut the end of the vial off, make it into a glass tube. And then they would take steel wool and stuff it down inside of the crack pipe. And so when they get their crack, their little piece of crack, they would put it in the end of their crack pipe, and the steel wool would be like a filter, almost like a cigarette filter. And they would light their crack, smoke their crack. One day I was at the store, and I was coming out of the store, and you know, and typically when a brother asks me for a couple dollars, you know, I typically just give the brother a couple dollars. I don't ask him what it's for. You know, the brother need a couple dollars here, take a couple dollars. You understand? And this brother, he didn't ask me for a couple dollars. You know, he asked me for what do they call it? He said, can you give me a Brillo? I said, a Brillo? He said, yeah, a Brillo. Like I couldn't make out what he was saying at first. I was like, a what? He's like, a Brillo. I said, a what? He said, a Brillo. I said, what? I said, brother, what are you saying? He said, a Brillo. So I said, a Brillo? Like Brillo pad. That's what I'm thinking. So he said, yeah. Eyes lit up when I finally understood what he was saying. And she said, yeah. I said, I said, like a Brillo pad, like a cleaning thing. He said, yeah. So I was like, why? I said, why I need to go get you a Brillo for? Why? Why you can't just go in there? It's a Brillo pad. You talking about a sponge, right? Like a little sponge. he said, nah, it's a Brillo. I said, so like a Brillo pad? He's like, yeah. So I'm like, the sponge. He's like, nah. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. Brillo pad. In my brain, I'm thinking a Brillo is a Brillo pad, like a little scrubby thing that you scrub the dishes with. so I'm like, yo, why you can't just go in there? I said, why you can't go buy you a Brillo pad? He's like, man, she won't sell it to me. So right when he said that, I was like, I just figured I'm playing safe and just be like, nah, brother, I can't help you out. So I went in the store, got my little Red Bulls, got me a little pineapple juice. And when I went to check out, I asked the lady at the store, I said, excuse me, there's a guy outside that asked me to come in here and get something for him. And she's like, yeah, Brillo. I said, yeah, what's the deal with the Brillo? Like, I was like, what is he talking about? She said, a crack pipe. I said, what do you mean a crack pipe? Like, I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's like something that can be used as a crack pipe, like, because I come from that era where they would make the crack pipes out of like a glass, they used to sell the little flowers. I don't know if you ever seen them, but back in the day, they used to have these little flowers in the gas stations. Be a tiny little flower inside of a glass tube. So what they used to do, they used to buy that little flower, and then they would get like a wire and heat up the wire, and they would wrap it around the end of the glass tube, and they would cut the end of the glass tube off. That's how they used to make the crack pipes. So, and she's like, it's a crack pipe. I said, surely it's not really a crack pipe. Like, I'm like, what's it really used for? She said, a crack pipe. I said, like a crack pipe? It's just a straight up crack pipe. She's like, yeah. I said, let me see this thing. And she showed it to me. And sure enough, this thing was a bona fide, prepared, and ready to use crack pipe. I was like, get the F out of here.
It's like they sold those?
They sell crack pipes in the gas station.
Why couldn't get it in?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I really don't know. You know what I mean? She just refused to sell it to him. But so I'm like, so these heathens are literally selling crack pipes. And then I went over there and I looked at all the stuff. And man, they had crack pipes. They had meth pipes, weed pipes. They had weed. I don't know if it was like real weed. I guess it was like.
They selling K2 back
This was like a couple months ago.
A couple months ago?
Yeah, I don't know if it was like real weed, but
I don't know why I'm thinking this.
No, this was like a couple months ago.
Back in the day.
Nah, back in the day, they was making crack pipes. Nah, we ain't that old now. I ain't that old. You know what I'm saying? My mama was rocking them afros, but nah. This was like a couple months ago at the store right around the corner from my house. Yeah. So I'm like, what? I'm looking at all the stuff that they got in this. They got a whole glass section, and it's all these drug paraphernalia. I'm just like, what in the world? Like, and this is in the hood. Like, whatever drug you take, whatever drug you smoking, they got the pipe that you need right there at the hood gas station. And I'm just like, man, And my rib always told me, she's like, I don't like going to that store. And I never quite understood why. I was like, I don't mind it. I feel like it's easier to walk in and walk in, grab my stuff, walk right out. Instead of going to the QT, and the QT always packed. So it never really bothered me to go to the hood store. I kind of like the hood. Sometimes they got chips. QT don't care. So, I like them Uncle Ray's red hot chips. So, and they got the chicken skins. They don't have them at the QT. So, what I mean? So I'm sitting there just dumbfounded, like, man, like these heathens is right here in the hood just selling crack pipes, selling weed pipes, selling meth pipes. I didn't know there was a difference between a meth pipe and a crack. I thought they was the same, but they got a pipe specifically for meth, a pipe for crack, and you can buy it all right there at the hood gas stations. Right there in the hood.
Like I said, they got the scale to go with it. Right there.
Oh yeah, they've been selling scales in the stores. They got the scale. Like back in my day, it was like you had the joint papers, cigarillos, or the cigars, the Phillies, the cigarillos, the sweets. That's what all you had back in the day. Now they got bongs and bowls and pipes. You know what I mean? I'm surprised. Maybe I ain't look hard enough, but I'm surprised they ain't got a little heroin heater for people that shoot heroin. Because you see in the movies they take the heroin and they put it on like a spoon and heat it up with a lighter and do all. I've never even seen nobody do heroin, so I don't really know other than what I've seen in the movies. But I'm surprised. I'm willing to bet they probably got something like that at the gas station. Probably got needles too. You understand? But they're just selling that stuff right there to our people right there in the store. You understand? So, and it's all nations. Some parts of the country is Moab doing it. Some parts of the country is Ishmael doing it. Some parts is Elam. Some parts is Ham. You understand? And it's like they have it set up to where even when Israel tried to set up a store like that, they price us out of everything so bad that it's hard for us to even maintain that type of business. Like even like a black hair care store. You understand? It's hard for a black person to compete with Moab because Moab is getting that stuff sent over the water and paying pennies on the dollar for it. And then coming here selling you a do-rag they paid 10 cents for, they selling to you for $5. You understand? So, hair picks, they paying pennies for, selling to you for $8. You understand? I don't know. It's been a minute. Yeah, I've been cutting my hair for a minute, so I don't even know what a pick costs. About $8. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, so it's hard. Now of course, when you buy stuff from a black man, you're getting a better product. But that product is so expensive because we're priced out of everything. You understand? So that's why, like Captain Zaryak body butter may cost more than the body butter you can buy at Ham. But that's because, Ham getting that stuff damn near for free. You understand? So, it's we priced out of everything to even be able to compete. You know what I mean? And so because of that, and then we're in such poverty, a lot of people can't just afford to just go buy a handmade hair pick from you. It's got no plastic, no this, no that. It's made out of buffalo bone. Handmade out of buffalo bone. It's a good pick, but I can't afford it. So I got to go pay them $8 for that plastic one. You know what I mean? From the Chinese man with the fist on it.
That's crazy. They know
Yeah,
what we do. Like, that's crazy.
yeah.
Get the stuff that kill.
So read on. Read that part again in the Kings.
Oh, it's like
And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her,
Go ahead.
and the merchants of the earth, are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy.
You understand? The merchants of the earth. That's what we were just talking about. The merchants are able to do what they do because of the kings of the earth committing fornication with America. You don't think China and America is in such a they got some things going on? You understand? America allows the Chinese to come in here and build up and become millionaires. Listen, man, these Chinese people around here in Greenville got their own neighborhoods. You know what I mean? You walk into a Chinese restaurant, yeah, they might be wearing a Fila t-shirt. You understand? With some Walmart sneakers on. You understand? Right in the hood, but when they leave, they pulling off in the Maserati. You understand? Going back to a gated community that you don't even know exists. Tucked off in the woods somewhere. You understand? Read on.
Verse 4. And I heard another voice from the heaven saying, come out of her. Come out of her, my people.
Now, here's the thing, right? Salaki. So saying, come out of her, my people. Salaki. Come out of her, my people, right? I mean, he's talking to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Those are his people. You understand? He said, come out of her. You understand? Because right now we are heavily ingrained in this empire. You understand? We are heavily integrated into this empire. You understand? We have blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Congress. We have them in military, law enforcement, sports and entertainment, the movie industry, music, education, transit, every aspect, every functioning part of the society, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans play crucial roles in it. Where the Lord is saying, come out of her. He's calling blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to fall back from America. You understand? Listen, when Captain Mashak, I love Captain Mashak. I love watching his classes, and he's always able to paint things into a perspective that easily makes sense to me. And I remember one thing that he said that I never forget. And ever since he said it, my brain clicked on why the Most High is the way he is. He said the Most High is a gangster. He said you owe the Most High, he is coming to collect. You understand? You trespass against the Most High, he is going to come see about you. Because the Most High is a gangster. Not what the Christian church think he is. And matter of fact, the thing that the Christian church hates the most is what the Most High is. You understand? Because the Christian church hates real masculinity. The Christian church hates that. That's why your pastor up there with the I've seen pastors nowadays, they got I hate when I see brothers do this. When they got the dreads on top with the bald fade going around the side. They got the dreads twisted up in like a ponytail. I hate seeing that. And I hate it even more when it's like a big athletic brother. Like you big softy. Like why? I hate seeing that. You understand? Like, man, I just hate seeing it so much. Like, brother, like you is like warrior size and you just soft as a baby pillow. Joanna, man. You understand? I just hate seeing that so much because that is the safe image that America wants black men to be, to fit into this society. You understand? You have to be effeminate to fit into American society. Why do you have to be effeminate? The white man don't have to be effeminate. White man can ride around with a beard this long, with a tattoo on top of his forehead, smoking a cigar, wearing a leather vest, riding a motorcycle, you understand, with big metal rings on, you understand, hands like sandpaper, with boots on, you understand, and riding Harleys.
With sausage fingers.
With sausage fingers. You understand? And he's your guidance counselor. You understand? But a black man, they don't even want you to have a beard on your face. They want you to cut your beard. You understand? Think about that. They don't want you wearing leather and studs, you understand, tassels and fringes with beards and braids. They don't want you dressing like that. They want you wearing the 3-piece suit that look like the buttons about to pop out. Matter of fact, the suit got to be pink or purple or some wild color. You understand? You got to have the high waters on. That's what I don't understand about today. Like today, they wear the high waters, right? And back in the day, you used to get clowned for that. Now it's like the style. They want the young black men. They want you, even the rappers. The rappers dress like softies. Like I remember back in the day, man. Listen, man. I like DMX growing up. DMX didn't rock a lot of jewelry. You understand? DMX had one of them hardware store chains around his neck, like a chain. You understand? Walking around with pit bulls, growling and shit. You know, excuse my language. You understand? So I grew up with that. You know what I'm saying? Like even when I started growing up and coming out and doing things, I used to wear white tees and black tees with the baggy pants, Air Force Ones or Timbs. I ain't straight too far from that. With the do-rag was either white or black. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that was because, you know, I couldn't really buy the fly shoes. Like I wore size 14s. So I couldn't just go in and be like, yeah, let me get the new J's. I could wait in line. I waited in line for the J's one time. Waited in line, skipped school, waited in line for the J's, was first in line, first man with a ticket. Walk in the store. He said, what size you need? Let me get a 14. Biggest size we got is 13, big dog. I'll never forget them words. You understand? I just turned around and looked at the next person and I was like, I know he wear 8.5. You know what I'm saying? Ever since then, I hated you little foot ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language. But nevertheless, I grew up in that era where, you know, that's what I listen to. Like now, you know, the so-called tough guys is singing. And back in the day, we used to have this term, we called it tight sag. And if you had on a tight sag, boy, we was on your head, boy. We was on. You know what I'm saying? You was going to be crying at the end of the bus ride. A tight sag meant your pants was tight and you sagging. And now, that's like the style. Matter of fact, I don't even think they sag now. They actually buy, it's almost like they buying little kids' pants. Because if they pulled the pants up, they would be capris. So it's like it's like you look at them and it's like the pants only come up to here. Why you buy that? Why are you wearing that, brother? Like, brother, your pants is too small, brother. Like, go ahead.
Then they got the nerve to wear the drawers with the logo.
Oh man, with the cartoon characters,
with the Gucci on. They know they want you.
Man,
I want you to see the logo. That's crazy.
Like, brother, hey, it's getting diabolical down here. You understand? And that's why the Lord, see, we are a warrior race of people. And in order to fit into this society, you can't be a warrior. You can't have the spirit of a warrior to fit to America. You understand? You can't have that spirit because they're gonna spit you out. You understand? Like the scriptures say in Revelation, and the sea cast out the dead. You understand? So the Lord wants us to pull ourselves away from America. You understand? Much like how, that's why, that's the point I was getting to when I was talking about the Most High being a gangster. Because think of it like this, right? If it's a street beef going on between the Most High and the angels and the so-called white man, right? Right now we at the party and white people at the party and we plugged in with the Most High. We know the Most High. When the Most High say, ring, 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 get away from Esau. Stay away from him. I'm gonna do something to him. I don't want none of them bullets to hit you. That's what he's basically saying. He's coming to get Esau. You understand? And he don't want blacks and Hispanics in the way of the bullets. He gonna send them. Now, are you gonna listen? Or are you gonna try to catch a bullet for him? Because he's still gonna catch that bullet. You just gonna catch one for him right before he catch his bullet. You know what I'm saying? He's still gonna catch that. You're not gonna stop the bullet from catching him. You understand? He gonna catch that bullet. But you willing to put your life on the line for it? You understand? Read on.
Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin.
It says, that ye be not partakers of her sin. You understand? The scriptures say a man cannot serve two masters. He will either love one and hate the other. You can't serve two masters. You can't say you can't love the white man in one hand and then say you love the Most High in the other hand. You can't do that. You understand? Because the Lord hates white people. He hates them. You understand? With a furious anger. You understand? Because Esau, listen, the Lord judged Esau before Esau was even born. He was born to be destroyed. He was born to serve out the punishment of Cain. Because Cain was prophesied to be punished with fire. When you read that in the book of Genesis, that's what Cain's punishment was. Did Cain ever die like that? Cain died an old man. You understand? He didn't die like that. He didn't. And then you can't say it happened to his kids because his descendants died by water, not fire. You understand? Esau is carrying out that punishment that was promised to Cain. You understand? Read on.
And that ye receive not of her plagues.
That you what?
And that ye receive not of her plagues.
But you catch not none of her bullets. The bullets got her name on it. Bullets got an Esau name on it. Got an American name on it. Not yours. You understand? Why we fighting? Why we fighting World War III? Why y'all want to go and fight for World War III? Even the Iranians is telling you, black man, this ain't your fight. Then guess what? The Vietnamese said the same thing. They was telling, in Vietnam, the Vietnamese was telling black people, black man, go home. You ain't know that? The Vietnamese was telling black people, black man, go home. This is not your fight. You understand? Read on.
Verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven.
Read that again.
For her sins have reached unto heaven.
So America has done disgusting in the eyes of the Lord and the angels. Can you imagine that? Like spiritually imagine that? Like imagine they sins as just a pile of dog crap. And the angels are sitting up there in heaven just looking at the crap, just like looking around like, boy, show lid stinking down there. Starting to smell it up here. You understand? It's about time to do something. We're about to set this thing ablaze. You understand? Read on. It's almost like I got dogs at the house. You know what I mean? I got a bunch of puppies running around the backyard. So when they get to taking craps and dumps, you know, I scoop it up and throw it all in a pile. You know, when the pile get too big, you start to smell it a little bit in the window. You open that window, scent come in a little bit. You know what I mean? So imagine that, right? You understand? And guess what? When that stench get a little too bad, it's time to throw a little bit of gasoline on it, set it ablaze. Because they sins and reached up into heaven. You understand? Them turds, that funk that reached up to the upstairs. Now it's time to do what needs to be done. You understand? Read on.
Verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquity.
Have done what?
Hath remembered her iniquity.
Now, go back to Psalms. Hold that and go back to Psalms. Was it Psalms 147? Or was it 137?
Psalms 137. Verse 7.
All right, go ahead.
Psalm 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, raise it.
You understand? This is the sin that has reached up into the heavens. You understand? Their war or their oppression of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? Read on.
Even to the foundation thereof.
Read on in Revelation. Select.
Oh, select.
You ain't got no questions?
Got a comment. I kind of been waiting. I didn't want to.
Go ahead.
Let you get the point. It's from someone named Butch Creed. Butch Reed. Please pray. Please pray I get my son back. It's been 11 years. His mom is pure evil. Please, I need help. I ain't getting any younger. Every man needs his father. Most don't want to be there. I always did. Please.
Let me ask you a question. Butch, you said his name is Butch Reed. Butch Reed, I appreciate your comment. Let me first ask you this. Butch Creed, what is your nationality? Let me know what he says when he answers.
You want me to read on until he answers?
No, let's wait. Has he said anything? Is his picture up?
Oh, I just put the comment up. Hoping maybe you can see it.
Butch Reed, if you're there, type into the chat what your nationality is. He's not answering.
All
All right, go ahead and read on. Butch, answer the question when you get a second. I'm gonna help you out.
The book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 5. Verse 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works.
So now it says reward her even as she rewarded you. You understand? Our oppressor, man, he did a terrible thing to us. You understand? And the Lord is saying to reward her double. So Esau's gonna get double the punishment. You understand? He's gonna get double the punishment, like a Twix. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get 2 lashes. Instead of 1 lash, he's gonna get 2 lashes. You understand? Instead of 400 years, he's gonna get 1,000 years. You understand? Read on.
In the cup which she hath filled, Shalakia. In the cup which she hath filled to her double.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously.
And that America has done that. Has lived deliciously off of the blood of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? It makes me sick to my stomach to think about how rich these devils got off of our blood. You understand? Most black people can't even fathom the wealth that they gained off of slavery. You understand? Like, you think LeBron James got money? What about David Stern, the president of the NBA? Think about that. Not the owner of the team, the president of the NBA. Think about that wealth. You understand? Think about that for a second. Just think this. And LeBron is an employee. You understand? He's an employee of a team in the NBA. Think about that for a second. Just picture it. LeBron, he's what, a billionaire? He's a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? He got money. He got generational money. You know what I'm saying? His family's set for generations. You understand? Now think about David Stern. They don't even talk about how much he make. You understand? You could look the answer up. It's a lie. I can tell you that right now. It's a lie. You understand? That man has the power to decide if a man plays or not. You understand? So we can't even fathom the riches that was built off of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We can't even imagine. It's unimaginable. You understand? The riches, you can't even imagine. There are yachts that exist in this world that are the size of cruise ships, if not bigger.
That's great.
That are owned by a person. Or, you know what I mean? And that's just one of the ones that they listen. I knew an Edomite who was, I say was, like he's not, still filthy, disgusting, hand over fist rich. I watched this devil spend more money in 10 minutes than I will ever own in my life. I watched this devil spend $250 million on FaceTime, buying an apartment or a condo, whatever. I don't know. He bought an apartment in New York. I can't remember where it was, but I remember he called me into his office and we were talking about something. He's a young white boy, and he wanted me to hook him up with some studio time from one of my friends because one of the white boys that Thought he was cool. You know what I mean? But so he called me in his office, and I was, we was chopping. He was making me wait before we chopped it up, and as we were waiting, he's on FaceTime with a realtor, and she's showing him this apartment. I mean, it's the apartment, an apartment. It was like a 3-story apartment. Like, yo, downstairs, you walk outside, downstairs in the lobby was a Starbucks. So I'm like, yo. And I'm just sitting there watching, and he's just sitting there like joking. He putting her on mute and making jokes, And I'm sitting there looking at the screen. I'm like, yo, this apartment is bigger than my neighborhood. Like, he got a ball. It's got a ballroom in the apartment. Like, that's what's crazy. It's like a house inside of a building. So, like a mansion inside of a building. And so I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And then at the end of the phone call, she says, he asked for the price. He says, so what's the price? She said $250. $250. And he's like, so what do you think? I said, hey man, I don't even got $250,000. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking $250,000. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I know it ain't $250. I'm thinking $250,000. Maybe I'm like, that's a pretty good deal for an apartment like that. It seemed like, I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you how to spend $250,000. He said $1 million. And then he unmuted, says 250 million. She said, yes, sir. And he muted her back. He said 250 million. He said, what do you think? Think I should get it? I said, man. I said, that looked like P. Diddy house. that was the only thing I could sit here and think. I'm like, yo, that's the most insane apartment. I didn't even know they made apartments like that. Like, you got a swimming pool in your apartment? Like, this is crazy. Like, how big is this thing? And so he was telling me how big it was, and he was like, so what do you think? You think I should buy it or you think I should pass? I said, man, all I can say is, man, that house looked nice. That looked better than Ghost's apartment in Power. The show Power. I was like, yeah, I said, that's nicer than Ghost's apartment. He said, for real? It's better than Ghost? He said, I'll take it. Memory key. I'm like, oh my God. That was just blew $250 million on an apartment. It was in Manhattan. On an apartment in Manhattan. I'm like, yo. I'm just sitting there thinking in my head. He just moves on with the conversation, and I'm stuck on this fool just spent $250 million on a apartment the size of a neighborhood, like it was nothing. Like that wasn't even a life decision for him. That was like I kind of want to move to Manhattan type of decision. Like, I'm gonna buy a crib in Manhattan, stay up there. What are you gonna do with all your furniture? Just leave it there. Just pay my home decorator and decorate it, and it'll be done by the time I get there. I'm like, yo, y'all got too much money that you're playing with. You understand? And what really opened my eyes to how much wealth he had was the devil had came to me one day, because I worked for the company that his hedge fund financed, and it was like a startup. And so he came to me one day. He was like, want to go to Vegas? I said, Vegas? I said, when you talking about going? He said, we're going to fly out today. I said, fly out today? I said, when you coming back? Next week. I said, next week? I said, I don't got no money. He said, I pulled it out the hedge fund. I said, pulled it out the hedge fund? I was like, I said, how much? I said, what kind of money you pulling out the hedge fund? He said, I pulled out $20 million. We're gonna fly y'all. We're gonna rent a plane. We're gonna fly. I'm like, yo. I said, yo, I can't go to Vegas. I gotta work tomorrow. He said, your boss will be all right. And my boss is sitting over there like, if you go to Vegas, you're fired. I was like, I can't go to Vegas, man. Looking back, I probably should have just went and just pocketed a couple $100,000. Nah, I ain't go. I probably should have. Who knows? Who knows where we would be? I probably wouldn't even be in the truth if I went hopped on that plane, to be honest with you. But he just pulled $20 million out just to go blow it in Vegas. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add to what you just said. Like you said, if you were to win, you might not have made the truth. I realized when I was younger, the more I went to hang out with my Edomite friends and seeing the stuff they had, and I didn't, and witnessed their Christmases and their Thanksgiving, they got the whole family there. The presents is crazy. You feel me? It made it hard to go back home and look at what I had. And I had to realize, you feel me? Like my older brother was just telling me, like, yo, man, we just different, you feel me? You can't look at what they got, man, you feel me? Like, it makes it hard. It makes me think of the scripture. One, it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom, or something like that. It's like, for paraphrasing. And it's another scripture. What is it? Envy not thy oppressor.
Right.
I believe, you know what I'm saying? That's
right. And also, too, just remember this, that all of that wealth was gained by bloodshed. They didn't get it the honest way. They're not rich because the Lord blessed them with some type of oil or, you know what I mean? Like Iran and Saudi Arabia, scripture say their foot would be dipped in oil. You know what I'm saying? No, it says that about, who was it? Which tribe was Venezuela? Is it Asher? I can't remember which tribe it is. Let's talk about tribes. But it's not like he has some type of gift or blessing or intelligence or something that he does better than anybody else that makes him so rich. It's because he is the most likely to unalive your entire nation. You understand? And take everything you got. You understand? He's a America is what they call a progressive nation. You understand? You know what I mean when I say progressive? Look up the is it progressive? Look up the definition of progressive. Look up the definition of progressive nation. What does it say?
It says a progressive nation is a country that proactively uses government, social policy, and economic reform to improve the human condition, addresses inequalities, and advance society rather than relying on tradition or unregulated markets.
Go ahead.
It is characterized by a forward-looking approach that aims to solve problems like poverty, environmental degradation, and corporate malfeasance through direct action.
Okay, so hold on. So that was a lot of word salad. You understand? But here is that's a lot of word salad. You understand? Because the thing about a progressive nation is that it. Okay, read it again.
A progressive nation is a country that proactively uses government, social policy and economic reform to improve the human condition.
Okay, so it says uses government, policy and economic reform. All right, so now it leaves out colonization. You understand? I mean, it says it, but it's really crafty how it says it, because it says it uses government, you understand, to improve the human condition, right? Now, that's talking about within that nation, not the human condition worldwide. You understand? So now read on. It's not the definition.
It's like an economic reform to improve the human condition, addresses inequalities and advance society.
So it says it addresses inequalities and advance society. So that right there tells you it's not talking about another society. It's talking about its own society, right? Now how do you think that you can use government, economics, economic reform, and policies to basically expand your nation, to further progress your nation? How can you do that? How can you? They're basically, in a nutshell, saying that we're making our country more wealthy. You understand? We're improving the lives of the people in our country. How do they do that? It doesn't say. They tell you how they do it without telling you how they do it. It doesn't say that by exporting a gross domestic product. It doesn't say that. You understand?
Okay.
It doesn't say that by creating products for export or manufacturing, and it doesn't say by utilizing the workforce to sell products, which is what every other nation does. It doesn't say that. It says through government policies and economic reform. So in other words, the government goes out here and gets what it needs to be able to do that. You see what I'm saying? That it's not coming from within the country. So whatever the government is doing, it has to come from outside of the country. You understand? Read on the definition.
It is rather than relying on tradition or unregulated market.
Hold on. Read that part again.
Rather than relying on tradition.
Rather than relying on tradition, tradition meaning what I'm just talking about. By exporting your own goods, which is traditionally how a country makes money. Read on.
Or unregulated market.
Or unregulated markets. Talking about the foreign exchange. You see what I'm saying? So they're not expanding their country by selling products to the world. So if they're not selling, think about it like this, right? Think about this for 1 second, right? You got a homeboy, right? You got a job, I got a job, he got a job, they got a job. But this brother don't got no job. You understand? I drive a Honda, you drive a Kia, he drive a Toyota, he drive a Nissan. This brother got a AMG Benz with the rims on it.
Look, too much.
He got a grill iced out. You know what I'm saying? Always got the polo, got the Tommy Hill figure. You know what I'm saying? He always got the new shoes. This brother ain't got no job. Where you work at? Oh, you know what I'm saying? I be willing and dealing. You understand? Where you get your money from, brother? He's not. He don't have a job. America don't have a job. America is that homeboy that don't have a job, but pulling up in brand new cars every week. You see what I'm saying? House bigger than the neighborhood. That's America.
You got that.
That's basically what they just said. They not selling stuff. They're not selling stuff to make money. But here's the thing: it costs money to do all this. So they're saying it without saying it. Now, what do we know about America for sure? What are they not saying about? They're not saying about how they're dropping bombs on different countries. That's what they didn't say in there. They said they said government and policy. I'm gonna show you something about in the Bible about policies, right? Give me 1 second. Give me Daniel chapter 8, verse 23.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding, dark sentences shall stand up.
Go ahead.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
So we know that this is talking about America, right?
Okay.
Read on.
Verse 24. Verse 25. And through his policy.
And through his what?
And through his policy.
And through his what?
And through his policy.
Read on.
Also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
So craft meaning like witchcraft, like propaganda, being able to control the masses with information and misinformation and things like that. Read on.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
And by what?
And by peace shall destroy many.
Go ahead.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
So America's going to one day go to war with Christ. Going to go to war with our king. You understand? And he going to lose that battle. You understand? Rakatha Yahweh Yahweh Shah. You understand? So now, we know how the white man get down. You understand? That's been prophesied in the Bible. You understand? And look at this right here. This is a progressive nation. This Bible is talking about this so-called progressive nation in the last days. You understand? And guess what? Part of the craft is what we just read. We just sifted through the witchcraft. You see what I'm saying? Because we just read that definition, and I broke it down plainly and showed you that America basically telling you it don't have no job. it don't make money. It take money.
That dude from across the street. That's America.
Yeah, that's America. America takes. America does not build. America does not make, it takes. You understand? That's heavy. America don't make, it take. Because America they ain't make nothing. They ain't make the stoplight, didn't make the cell phone, didn't make the automobile, didn't make the nothing. America ain't made nothing. You understand? And I'm willing to bet that if you dig down deep enough in the records, in the archives of notes hidden away by Alexander Graham Bell, I'm willing to bet you that even the light bulb was invented by a slave. You understand? I wouldn't be surprised. You wouldn't even you listen. If it wasn't for black people, you devils would be dying of cardiac arrest left and right, because the whole process that saves your life was invented by a black man. Open heart surgery. The first successful open heart surgery was done by a black man. You understand? That was so-called uneducated. You understand? And with that, you understand, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street out of Harlem, New York, under Commander Jenny Hanna. If you're not in the ISUPK under Commander Jenny Hanna, you're not in the truth. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video, like all of our stuff, man. Especially if you're an ISUPK South Carolina, man, like everything, man. Like it, because it helps us to break the algorithm so we can push this truth far across the world, man. And with that, shalom.